Limitless Wrestling fans, this is not the Emmy Award winning, but Jon Alba, and these are of Limitless Wrestling, Randy Carver. And man, things got a little out of control. There was no control.
I thought you were going for that.
How do I say this?
How it was going to end.
How do I say this? Things got a little out of control.
That sounds good.
It was the no control event. It was the Limitless versus Blitzkrieg event. It was a wild weekend within the Limitless Wrestling family. Randy, how you feeling?
A lot more rested now.
That's good.
It was a wild weekend, man. We've never done a double shot of this magnitude whatsoever. We've obviously never had a show outside of the state of Maine. So a lot of risks this weekend. I was, undoubtedly a little nervous going into it, but excited. And it really paid off. There were 2 sold-out shows. Couldn't ask for more, man. The crowds were insane all weekend.
Did the weather cooperate?
It did. And that's obviously one of the bigger worries. Yeah. Winter booking shows in the winter really sucks because now it's not so bad because I'll book whatever, and then obviously if shit happens, shit happens. I didn't know that a couple years ago, and I'd freak the fuck out. But you can't help the weather. But luckily, we got blessed with I think 2 days, both in the 30s, which is pretty good temperatures around here. I know it's a lot different where you are, but
yeah, it's a lot different where I am for sure. It was chilly today, a brisk 55, and and I was in New Orleans this past weekend, and that's always a party, so that was fun. Brought back memories of when I was in New Orleans for WrestleMania 30, which I didn't go this past year, but I imagine seeing all the indie wrestlers on Bourbon Street is probably a sight to be seen.
Yeah, I heard Joey Janela was quite the rager on Bourbon Street last year.
It's I just remember catching beads from Sheamus in 2014. Sheamus was dangling beads above everyone in his beret, and he's tossing them down. And it was fun. It was a good time. It was a good time this weekend. I hope you guys had a good time. 2 very successful events from what I understand. You said shat goes wrong. Well, it did go wrong here. Several things moving around up to this show that we didn't get a chance to talk about, and some stuff that happened just hours before the shows, too, that forced you guys to think on your feet. And you certainly did. And I guess we can kind of tee up everything with those things. Since we last talked, Filthy Tom Lawler broke his wrist, and he was gone. Then MJF broke his elbow. He's gone. You had to think on the fly here, didn't you?
Yeah, obviously not what I look forward to ever in cards changing like this, but I don't know, I was thinking the other day, we were on the podcast, three weeks ago or so, and how much different the cards ended up being from what we talked about is crazy. But that's independent wrestling, man. These dudes are going out every weekend, taking insane risks, just to, have good matches, please fans, and get brought back to promotions. They're busting their ass with no contracts, and unfortunately, shit like this happens. Marco Stunt breaks his leg wrestling Eli Everfly, and he's going to be on the shelf for quite some time. Filthy Tom Lawler, at least out 8 weeks. He broke his something in his wrist and something around his knuckles on his hand. I saw the X-ray, and it was disgusting. So he's going to be out at least 8 weeks. And MJF, as much as I don't like the guy, an unfortunate injury for him. He's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks, fractured elbow. So not good all around. And again, anytime that you can, especially now, Christmas season, support those independent wrestlers who are going through a tough time, injuries. I know Joey Janela, Joey Ryan, a couple other notables who are. It sucks when things like this happen. But, yeah, we did have to think on our feet all around, and we'll get to the Blitzkrieg show in a second. But we, that's 3 pretty notable names on the card who are taken off, within 2 weeks of each other. I think maybe a week and a half. I know MJF and Tom Lawler was within 2 days. So that was a bummer.
So how'd you deal with it?
You just have to figure out what you can. The MJF thing was really what caught me off guard, because
That's your big angle. That's your main event.
That's the main event. Everyone was looking forward to Max getting his ass whipped, as was I. And, I was so excited for that match because, honestly, I think LAX is one of the best tag teams on the planet. I think they proved that on Friday. It's just incredible how far they've come. And I was super excited for that match. I think everybody was. So that was the big one where I just didn't know what I was going to do. I reached out to Sami Callihan. He was an idea that JT had brought up to me. That did not work out. So Brody King was the next suggestion, and I think that was the most logical. And it was realistic when I said that we kind of opened up the card with JT and kind of said, where can we go from here? And Brody King was the logical option. And what a replacement he was, because Brody King had the match of his life against LAX. That match is a must-see for anyone who did not make this event, or for yourself, John. Just an insane match, a great main event. And the Marco Stunt one, I think we talked about that a little bit, but KTB, Kyle the Beast, was the replacement for him. And I think that one made the most sense because Marco Stunt really had his breakout defining moment against KTB at Joey Janela's loss to New York. So, who better, I think, to replace Marco Stunt than KTB? And he's been a guy who's really been, kind of scratching and clawing to get an opportunity in Limitless. He's hit us up multiple times before, but we just didn't have anything that worked out. So he had a fantastic debut. He did great in the scramble. And then Filthy Tom, I really did not know where to go because it was just like defeating at that point. It's super tough to get talent last minute, especially if it's the week of the show. This is one of those situations where we got really lucky that we were doing this show with Blitzkrieg on Saturday because they had DJ Z booked and I did not for Friday. And by the grace of God, DJ Z had a Friday open, which he has not had a Friday open in quite some time. So we were able to set that up, bring him in, and he had a banger with Christian Casanova. So it's a lot of luck all around to be able to kind of reform the card like we did. And I think, honestly, we got some really cool matches out of the unfortunate injuries.
You certainly did. And I saw JT Dunn, how excited he was to bring in Brody King. When you told him that you were going to be able to finalize that, what's he saying to you?
Oh, he's stoked. And, it kind of really fits because they are kings, kind of fits. But he was stoked because, Brody King is a guy that he likes quite a bit. I know Brody King was, he's been in the good graces of JT Dunn, and it's got him a lot of new places in New England when he was still, an available independent wrestler. And Brody and JT do have a close bond, and I think that showed in their tag team match on Friday because, they took LAX to the limit, man. They almost had him beat.
Which Brody King no longer is an available talent.
So that was wild. It's not surprising. It is a little bit because Brody is just like, if he was getting signed by anyone, in my opinion, I would have guessed it was either MLW or Evolve, and that's just because he's appeared in both companies this year. It was literally after the tag match. I was shooting the shit with Brody at the end of the night, and he said he pulled me to the side and said, I don't know if you've really heard yet because not a lot of people know at this point. And he's like, this is probably going to be my last Limitless show tonight. And I'm like, what? And he let me know that he was signed exclusively by Ring of Honor. So that was a really cool thing to hear. And I'm glad Brody got to tell me himself. Like that was super cool. And then I think it came out on Monday, or Sunday, maybe, excuse me, that Brody had signed with Ring of Honor. And just really cool, man. I like Brody a lot. He's done a lot of good shit with us this year, and definitely happy we got to have him one more time.
Well, I've said to you in the past, I've said this on my podcast, Living the Gimmick, which is available on all platforms, including a fantastic Patreon, if I may say so myself, patreon.com/Living the Gimmick. I've said it on there. I think Brody King is one of the next big things in pro wrestling, and I was actually quite surprised as well that he ended up signing with Ring of Honor. And this is not a slight to Ring of Honor by any means, but we heard that WWE, New Japan were both very much interested in him. I think he would have been a fantastic fit in either. And
I think now it's pretty cool though, because the door with a Ring of Honor contract, like I know the contract situations right now, wrestling's crazy. And
well, are you gonna bring up the New Japan Ring of Honor relationship?
Yeah.
See, I'm not even super certain that that's going to be a long-term viability thing.
Who knows? But I mean, right now, the now, it is.
It's plausible Brody King could be working Wrestle Kingdom in January.
I'd be fine with that.
Which is pretty cool.
I want a sidebar real quick.
Go for it.
Because I've been kind of surfing through Twitter the past couple days, and I feel like a lot of people are very worried about the future of independent wrestling.
I'm verified now, by the way.
I saw that. Congratulations. I don't know how you weaseled into that.
It's that Emmy, man.
It's the Emmy. So I've been just seeing people worried about the future of independent wrestling because, you know, we look at the landscape right now of how many promotions are kind of sealing up their talent. MLW has deals now. Evolve has deals now. Ring of Honor, obviously. New Japan, Ring of Honor, WWE, Impact. Things are changing. And there's a lot more ways for professional wrestlers to sign a deal and you know, make a decent living off of the deal that they have. And that's great.
A good thing. That's a good thing.
That's so cool. Because it has really never been like this in the landscape of wrestling. With this many viable options. But I understand where fans and even some wrestlers are coming from when the point is brought up of, oh, what is the future of independent wrestling? The Fed's just going to sign up all these dudes and let them sit. Like, they're not letting them sit. Like, there's so much new content on the WWE network. But what I'm getting at is this is an exciting and somewhat challenging year, not only for independent wrestling, but for Limitless Wrestling, because we're going to see throughout this year that, in my head, a lot of talent who is frequent in Limitless Wrestling may get snatched up, and I hope that they do. But that gives us the option to look at the landscape of the talent coming up in independent wrestling and say, all right, who do we feel is going to fit Limitless Wrestling moving forward? Who's going to carry the flag moving forward in Limitless Wrestling, and who's really going to progress themselves within Limitless Wrestling this year? And it's going to give fans a whole new variety of talent to either love, hate, believe in. It's so cool,
and
man.
Pro wrestling's all about creating new stars. So
that's the coolest shit in this thing, man, is honestly just seeing how this talent grows and progresses, and seeing how the crowd takes to different people, and just seeing people perform on the stage of Limitless Wrestling and kill it. It's so cool. And we're going to see a lot of new people do that.
Especially if you get this whole all elite pro wrestling promotion off the ground with the Bucks and Cody.
Founded by the Jacksonville Jaguars, right?
Yeah, Tony Khan, who's the nephew of the Jaguars' principal owner, Shad Khan.
How cool would it be to have a piece of the Jacksonville Jaguars and say, well, in my spare time, I'm gonna help fund this awesome wrestling promotion.
Like I said, man, to you off air, all they need is a solid TV deal. And if they get a solid TV deal, this is very much a real big thing.
I don't see how they couldn't, because they could go to people with the not only like the Rhodes name, but the their sales, not only for All In, but for even merchandise sales. They're killing the game in every aspect.
Oh, and they happen to have the biggest star in pro wrestling in their pocket in Kenny Omega right now. So
yeah, and they've also got a super successful YouTube page, and in such a short amount of time too. That's their television show right now, and they've got nearly 400,000 subscribers, I believe, on YouTube.
Yeah, no, but you're right. It's a changing landscape. MLW is doing a live show.
Yes, I'm excited to see how they do.
And that's in Miami. It's good stuff. It is exciting for sure.
Right. I think our boy Ace is wrestling Barrington Hughes on that show.
There you go. The newly debuted Ace Romero.
Check it out.
Let's talk about this show, and let's start with Ace Romero. He faced Darby Allin, and he beat him.
He did, and I actually got to see this match for the most part. This is another one, just like the main event. Definitely go out of your way to check this out if you were not there. You'll see some crazy shit, and if you didn't expect that with a match with Ace Romero and Darby Allin, you obviously don't know the two, because Darby's a maniac and Ace is very close to the word.
How'd their styles mesh here?
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of these kind of like just styles clash matches. I think they really produce something cool, and Ace Romero to me is a real cool guy to try that sort of thing with, because our third show ever, we did him and AR Fox for the first time ever.
And now remember.
We see how that's grown, and I feel like we could do Ace Romero versus AR Fox at every single show we do, and people would be losing it. So, just a really cool match. I'm a big fan of these styles clashes, and this is no different.
Eli Everfly was able to beat The Miz, but he couldn't beat Kevin Blackwood and Harlow O'Hara. Doomfly falls in their Limitless debut.
I was super excited for this match to go down, and I was not disappointed from what I saw. They're all hard hitters, and they're all high flyers, and big time strikers, and just super fun. I love watching Doomfly. I realized this weekend because I had obviously never seen Delilah Doom live and in person, but they're such a cool tag team, like such innovation to what they do. It's very fun to watch.
Did Eli get some nice love from the fans for his SmackDown appearance?
He did, man. He did. And I think a lot more people knew who he was anyway from his couple appearances in Limitless, at least locally. But I think to some people who may not have been sold on Eli before, that was the solidifier that, he's destined to do big things.
Hey, he pinned a WrestleMania main eventer. That's pretty cool.
Pretty wild.
Not many people can say that. And with a McMahon in his corner, nonetheless. So
yeah.
How'd Harlow O'Hara do in her second time out here in Limitless?
Very good. Very interesting teaming with Kevin Blackwood. I was wrong too. This was not their first time ever teaming. They had teamed before at Nova Pro. So I know I think a few weeks ago I had said it was their first time teaming. I was pretty sure it was, but man, she did great. I think she's a very good fit into Limitless Wrestling. And I think she's a very good fit as a tag team partner for Kevin Blackwood, or at least I hope for Kevin Blackwood's sake that they are heading into January.
One of our semi-main events here, Ashley Vox versus the retrosexual Anthony Green. This one, from what I understand, got real heated. They worked their asses off, and Ashley Vox, who had this just massive year in Limitless Wrestling in 2018, caps it off with a big-time win over the retrosexual, and then finds herself in a scuffle at the end.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second, but what a match, man. Honestly, match of the night for me. One of the best matches of the year, 100% in my opinion. And I saw a few people say that. No words, man. Just some crazy stuff in this matchup. Ashley Vox, it's a pretty cool story because you look back 1 year ago, November 2017, she gets the call 6 days before Hybrid Moments to pop on the show and be a replacement in the 6-woman scramble. And then a year later, she's defeating Anthony Green, who was undefeated for 2.5 years in Limitless Wrestling by submission. And man, what a year. What a year. And yeah, Chris Statlander, who is not a fan of Ashley Vox's year in Limitless Wrestling, decides to try to steal her moment and kind of take her sunshine away. And luckily, for the first time ever, Eric Greenleaf leading the charge of officials down there. We get him in between them. We keep them apart like a good business should. We don't want our employees, fighting. I don't know. It's pro wrestling, man. We kept them apart as long as we could. We'll obviously get to what happened later. They did not stay apart the whole time, but kudos to the referee crew. They were right on top of it there.
We never got that Eric Greenleaf episode. Boo-hoo.
Eric Greenleaf confronted me this weekend. He said, I heard the podcast, and I didn't really know what he was talking about at first. I'm like, oh, did you? I'm glad you listened. And he's like, yeah, and I heard about that Eric Greenleaf episode, and I'm like, oh, okay. And he's like, I'm fucking down. I'm like, hell yeah. So, yes, someday it's gonna happen. I don't need 100 likes or 100 retweets.
I didn't know that Eric Greenleaf knew how to use headphones.
I don't know if he does for sure. To my knowledge, it was on the aux in the car on the way down to Connecticut. So I don't know. I don't know for sure.
He can afford that?
Okay. We're taking jabs at him now. I have to see this
sorry, bad. bad, John. Stop.
Hey,
That's-
but
Go back. The Emmy's
kudos.
nowhere near me. I don't even have the Emmy in Orlando right now, so that's
Really?
get away. Ugh.
Kudos to Eric Greenleaf, though. He took
Yes.
he took two of the refs in training too, Jared and Matt, on the road with him all weekend.
Nice.
And they
Very nice.
they helped out all weekend, and it's really cool to see that dedication from those guys so early. So kudos to all three.
Cool. The Shooting Gallery defeated the Thick Boys. Puff. Well, actually, should we? Yeah, no, never mind. We'll circle back. Shooting Gallery defeated Thick Boys. Puff, from what I understand, was Santa Puff. Is this true?
He was, but he was not. He was not Santa Puff at this point. John Silver made it clear to Rich Palladino that he is Pledge Puff.
Pledge Puff.
Because he is on the way to becoming a thick boy, but he's not a thick boy yet. And especially after this match, his acceptance into the thick boys is very much in question.
I just all of a sudden the Thick Boys dropped like 5 levels in my book. The pledge. Oh God, ugh. It's okay.
Hey man,
I'll forgive him.
He wants to be in there.
Okay,
and more power to him.
Yeah,
but he, the Thick Boys were, I think, looking for that end of the match brewski to really get him going and kick him into high gear, and instead, Puff reached in the old Santa sack and he pulled out some seltzers, and that was not, John Silver and Jay Freddy just as well as I do. That's not what they're looking for.
No,
and they were a bit appalled at that, and it caught him so off guard that Daniel Garcia and Brandon Thurston just thrashed him at the end of the match, got the win, and I think it's an upset in the minds of a lot of people because we look at the year that the Thick Boys have had, so many big victories over the past 365 days, and then they've had very, very few hiccups, and this is one of them there. And John Silver, Jay Freddy were not happy at Puff after the match, and Puff, we see him redeem himself later in the night. We'll get to there, but
okay.
It was a bummer, man. It was a bummer for Puff in that moment because he's just trying to do his best, and I'm sure seltzers get the job done for Puff, but not for the Thick Boys.
Poor Puff. Yeah,
I know, man. Great dude.
Yeah, real poor Puff. Sour grapes. Still haven't gone over that one. Anyway, we said this would be the big one here for Chris Dickinson. I firmly believed it would be. I said if he wins this match against Josh Briggs, he to me is on the Mount Rushmore of Limitless. And he did it.
Not only that, he tapped Josh out.
Weakness and vulnerability from Josh Briggs we have not yet seen in Limitless.
I don't know if Josh Briggs has been in the ring with anyone at the hysterical pace that Chris Dickinson runs at. Chris Dickinson is on another level. I think Josh Briggs is as well. But we did, for a moment, just see the tower collapse. You know what I mean? And that's something that we have not seen in Josh Briggs since he's debuted. And we look at the track record of a man like Josh Briggs and Donovan Dijak, JT Dunn, Jeff Cannonball, AR Fox. This Josh Briggs has not been in the ring with any slouches in Limitless Wrestling.
Right.
And he's got the job done. And he's become one of the premier stars of Limitless Wrestling, and that's due to him being successful in Limitless Wrestling. And this is not a, it's a huge loss, but it's not a huge setback for Josh Briggs because he's still at such a high level.
Yes,
but
is it a humbling moment for Josh Briggs?
I think so, because he really has not had much stop him this year. I mean, let's look at the year he got through Teddy Hart. Really, the only two guys who have got by him was Anthony Green, and Josh Briggs wasn't involved in the decision in that 4-way in January, and JT Dunn at the Vacation Land Cup.
And not only did he lose, but he quit. He tapped out.
He could, yeah, and it's just it's interesting. I think it's leaves both guys really in a what's next moment, because Chris Dickinson has just instantly propelled himself near the top of Limitless Wrestling, and Josh Briggs, I think it did bother him because we saw Josh Briggs sit in the ring for almost a minute straight after his match, after the loss to Chris Dickinson Friday. So
Just
it's
disbelief.
definitely something that's bothering Josh Briggs right off the bat. And I don't know, man. What is next for Josh Briggs? That I don't know. I don't know at all.
So then we saw DJZ come in for Filthy Tom Lawler, and we talk about humbling moments. He defeats Christian Casanova with Stokely Hathaway in his corner.
This one got just, no pun intended, but it got out of control.
I'm not surprised.
And I feel like, unfortunately, that happens every time Stokely Hathaway is out there. But this time we saw an equalizer, and that was Kevin Blackwood. Stokely Hathaway throwing the chain into Christian Casanova, as we've seen time and time again. The referee was in perfect position, face down on the mat after getting clobbered. So luckily, Kevin Blackwood races the ringside, shoves Stokely out of the way, and grabs the chain from Christian, only to be yanked out by Stokely Hathaway, who gets caught in a Kevin Blackwood Harlow O'Hara sandwich on the entranceway. And Christian Casanova, so distracted by the ordeal, gets caught off guard and eats a pinfall from DJZ.
When will these people in pro wrestling learn not to get distracted? As a primary distractor, these people are fools.
We talk about upsets, and I know on paper, to a lot of people, this probably doesn't seem like an upset, but I feel like the deck was stacked in Christian Casanova's corner. He's kind of playing on his home turf, even though, he's not the most liked guy in Limitless Wrestling. It's his home area. It's New England. He's got Stokely Hathaway in his corner. He was rocking and rolling throughout this match, and on his way to a victory, in my opinion. But again, the distractions get you, and we saw quite a match get set up after this. I don't know if I've told you about this yet, but Stokely Hathaway makes a tag team match for January that will pit Kevin Blackwood and Harlow O'Hara against Austin Theory and Christian Casanova. And the stipulation of the match is, if Kevin Blackwood and Harlow O'Hara win the match, then Kevin Blackwood will get a singles one-on-one rematch with Christian Casanova, and Stokely Hathaway will be banned from the building. That the banned from the building part is my own addition, by the way. Stokely Hathaway didn't say that.
Yeah, but, you have a habit of doing that.
That's my it's my own authority at this point, because it's got to be fair. If he's getting the singles rematch, it's got to be fair. So Stokely Hathaway will be banned from the building, and I'll make 100% sure that he's not there. If Kevin Blackwood and Harlow win, if they lose, if Theory and Casanova win in January, Kevin Blackwood has it's a pretty good size. I'd say it's probably the size of a pear. I don't know my fruits. Pretty close to something that's round and solid. He's got a space on his left bicep that's open, untattooed, pretty good size. Stokely Hathaway wants that real estate. So if Theory and Casanova are victorious in January, Kevin Blackwood has to get a Dream Team logo tattoo on his left bicep. And Stokely Hathaway has been... Would
that be live in the ring?
It would not be in the ring, but it would be at the arena.
Okay.
So because
it does take time,
quick, so we can't have it be in the ring, but it would be during the show.
It's fair enough. Fair enough. I want to see a hair match in Limitless, and it better not involve me.
Let's do me versus you.
Let's not.
We'll see who wins.
Let's not. Well,
I'll put my hair on the line.
Yeah, it wouldn't be that big of a deal for you.
What are you talking about? I have a good head of hair. I have really...
Yeah, but hair. You doing your job is not dependent on you having a full head of hair.
There are so many bald sportscasters.
Yeah, but have you seen the size of my head? My head is the size of that pear that Kevin Blackwood has on his arm, okay? It's very tiny.
Man, you don't know till you try. Hard telling, not knowing.
A very big brain and a very small head. Okay? Anyway, here's Puff's redemption story. Tell us what the hell happened in this scramble.
This was madness, man. I didn't get to catch the whole thing.
I heard it got hard. I heard it got hardcore.
It did. So this is how the scramble went for me. There was a fan who passed out. They were absolutely okay. So anyone who was wondering, fan was 100% okay. That happened. and we got that all taken care of. And then I turn around and I see Brett Domino getting hucked from the center of the ring to the floor. And then I go to do something else, and I come back, and Bear Bronson and Brandon Kirk are sitting on chairs, center of the ring, stapling dollar bills to their foreheads. I then see Bear Bronson stand up and intimidate Kevin Quinn enough to make Kevin Quinn staple a dollar bill to Brandon Kirk's forehead. We'll send that clip to Jim Cornette. And then it's just madness, man. KTB was flying all around. It was madness. Puff gets the win, though. Thick Boys come out after the match as Mariah Carey is blaring through the Portland Club, and they have a little drink for Puff. So looks like Puff is back in the Thick Boys' good graces. Happy for him. Dude deserves it. Santa Puff was incredible, and I wish I would take the cold 12 months out of the year to get Santa Puff every show. That's a lie, but it just sounds good. I love Santa Puff.
Oh, lovely. Chris Statlander defeated Penelope Ford.
She did, and I missed almost all of this match, unfortunately. But from the clips, I saw a lot of clips online of this one. Looked like a hell of a match, as was expected from both these two. And I luckily got out there just in time to see Ashley Vox race in from the crowd in a sweatshirt, hooded, and just maul Chris Statlander after the match. As I told you, quite a match was set up, and an unexpected one. Chris Statlander said that she would wrestle Ashley Vox, but does not want to be responsible for what she does to her. So it's going to be January 11th at Snake Bitten. It'll be Ashley Vox versus Chris Statlander in an unsanctioned match.
That is going to be, as the kids say, lit. The Main State Posse getting their trios back on and taking down Travis Huckabee, Green Ant, and Thief Ant. I'm sure this one was nuts.
Yes, it was. So nuts that a chandelier was almost broken.
Oh, not again.
Yes, again. Other side of the ring this time. Dual back body drops to the floor.
Can I guess that Alexander Lee was involved in said?
He wasn't, actually.
Really? Danger Kid?
Thief Ant was the one who hit it.
Okay.
But the match was crazy as to be expected. Always nice to have some of the guys from the Chikara Wrestle Factory up here, Green Ant, Thief Ant, and Travis Huckabee. We don't get those guys up here enough. Very happy to have them back. And what a fun match it was. And it reminds me of how fun the Chikara talent really is. And I don't mean just fun in the, comical way, but I mean just they're fun guys to have on wrestling shows.
Well, it's also good to see them mesh with a team like the Main State Posse.
It is, and it really, I love trios wrestling, and I think it's not something that's super normal still in like the U.S. I should say common is what I meant, not normal. It's not super common still, but we're starting to see it pick up even more in Main State Posse. Now stringing together some wins and momentum in Limitless Wrestling. We'll have to really look around the U.S. and try to find some good trios to bring in for them.
And then LAX went to war with JT Dunn and Brody King. Before we get to the antics after the match, what do you think of this one?
This was super fun to watch. I watched this one from start to finish. What a team Brody King and JT Dunn made for a first-time team. Again, I said it earlier, definitely go out of your way to watch this one. LAX is one of the best teams on the planet, and it's just crazy how good they've gotten, and it's kind of cool that we've had them in different stages of Limitless Wrestling because they were here in 2016, 2017, and in 2018, and you can kind of look back and see their genesis throughout those 3 years, and it's pretty cool to see.
So after the match, we get that confrontation. Ace Romero is eye to eye with JT Dunn and MJF. And some craziness goes down.
Yeah. Ace Romero did say earlier in the night, before the night was done, he was going to whip JT Dunn and MJF's asses. And we see him standing out there facing off with JT and MJF, still a 2-on-1 situation. And that Sly Fox hits. Let's go all the way. Anthony Green coming out, and Anthony Green really got us there. He went in for the hug with JT Dunn, steps out, and then super kicks him. And MJF, for the first time, I think, in the history of his life, is left speechless. And we see the reluctant but needed return of Take Me Home Tonight, standing up for Limitless Wrestling, and they are going to collide with MJF and JT Dunn on January 11th in the main event, and I could not be more excited.
You talk about leaving the fans going home happy. From what it sounds like, they were loving every second of this.
Yeah, and I'm excited to actually get to watch this back, because there were a lot of matches that I only got to see pieces of. I didn't get to see full matches. So, but from what I've heard, a lot of people are saying this is one of the better shows in Limitless Wrestling history. So, really made me happy to close out 2018 in Maine on a good note. And I think everyone, including myself, is very much looking forward to January and kicking off 2019 strong.
Well, then you headed south the next day to do this Limitless Blitzkrieg show. And that's when you found out that PCO was off the show. What happened?
Yeah. That was nuts. So, man, it must have been 1 a.m. After No Control, so technically early Saturday morning. Jeremy Leary, who is the owner of Blitzkrieg Pro, hits me up and he's like, dude, we have an issue. And it's him chatting with PCO, and he's starting to realize that PCO probably cannot wrestle on this show. And there was a point where we were the details were coming in very vaguely, so we didn't really know what was going on. I didn't, at least. And we were under the impression that he was probably not going to wrestle on this show, but he may still be able to show up and still do like the meet and greet and anything else and meet fans. And I woke up in the morning and just, was told, hey, he's signed, exclusive, right starting now to Ring of Honor. He's pulling off everything, and it starts here. So, to my knowledge, we were the first show that he had to pull off of because of his new deal, and congratulations to him.
Oh, it's incredible. It's the ultimate career resurgence. Incredible.
From a guy who was retired to now being signed to an exclusive contract at his age with what he's done. Super congratulations to him. So happy for him. He's a stand-up guy.
He is a stand-up guy. He's crazy, but he's a stand-up guy.
But yeah, we realized then that he was not coming to the show. It was not an option. So I had told Jeremy the night before, if we confirm that he's not coming at all, just throw it out there, just let him know. And I woke up and Jeremy had already done it. So I woke up and we were kind of game planning options the night before as well, of who can we try in the area, who do we think will be around. It's tough again because you don't have much notice. So we hadn't set anything yet. He had tried a few people, but we had not had anybody bite. Somehow, and this is, I don't know if he'll want me telling this story, but Ace Romero hits me up that morning. I have like 6 messages from him when I wake up. Ace Romero missed his flight that morning. He was only coming in for the Limitless show on Friday. So, he had come in on Thursday, excuse me. He flew into Providence, wrestled for XWA, came to Maine, wrestled for me, and he was heading home on Saturday to Ohio. Well, he missed that flight, so he just hits me up. He's like, yo, can I just come with you guys? Because I don't have anything I can take out today. I'm like, sure. And it ended up being like he had a big Uber issue, so he couldn't get to the airport. And then when he got there, he didn't have time to get on the flight. So it was a mess. But then I hit up Jeremy. I'm like, yo, Ace Romero unfortunately missed this flight, but maybe fortunately for us, we'll have him on the show and replace PCO. And that's what we did. So kind of by the grace of God there, we had Ace Romero on site, and he ended up wrestling Jeff Cannonball.
He would go on to pick up a win against Jeff Cannonball. Anything goes. Sidney Bacabella was in Jeff Cannonball's corner. I hate that Bacabella guy.
Dude, he had an outfit for every match. True pro. That was nuts, though. Another one. There will be clips of this definitely going on the YouTube, so So be on the lookout for it. But we saw a stack of chairs onto Ace Romero. Then we saw cinder blocks.
Yeah, I saw some clips of Jeff Cannonball with some cinder blocks recently in another match. And
Jeff Cannonball got dumped on a bed of cinder blocks, and then Ace Romero wound up like Roger Clemens and hucked a cinder block at another cinder block that was covering Jeff Cannonball's private parts, and made me squeal for sure. Definitely a hoss fight, anything goes hoss fight. That's a very fun watch.
Anthony Green defeated DJ Z-Tope in this one up. What do you think of that?
What an opener. I loved it. Anthony Green, honestly, one of my favorite wrestlers on the planet, and DJ Z has also crept into that list after having him a few times, because DJ Z just has really fun matches, and he's an excellent performer. It's understandable why he wrestles in so many big promotions, because he's just so good. And this is definitely one that I'd like to bring to either the Portland or Westbrook crowd, maybe sometime next year, because this was a hoot.
Certainly was. MSP staying hot, beating CPA and Massage Force.
CPA, I want him to be in the Massage Force 24/7. I'm not sure if I can politic for that or not, but what a team that was. And I really like Massage Force, VSK, and Dorian Graves. I think they're so talented, and I wish that we had more openings in Limitless, because they would be a great team for us to have more often. But this is another one. Definitely give this one a watch. Main State Posse really have things clicking for them right now, working great as a trio. Another fun match. Main State Posse getting the win over the Massage Accountant Force.
Then Team Blitzkrieg gets one. The Batiri defeating Kevin Blackwood and Harlow O'Hara.
Yeah, this took a little bit of the wind out of my sails, because I was a little overzealous over at the commentary table, thinking that we were going to get a clean sweep out of this. But the Batiri are an excellent tag team. Another one I wish we could have in Limitless more often. They're a team who I've watched for years as they've come through Chikara and really branched out from there. This was a super fun one. Kevin Blackwood and Harlow, it's their first loss in Limitless as a team, but I'm hoping that they can kind of ride their momentum from Friday into that tag team match in January, because it's a very meaningful one for them. But yeah, the Batiri picking up a win here. Fantastic match. If you like stiff strikes, this is a good one for you.
Scotty Wilde over John Silver.
I was so excited for this one because Scott Wilde, a lot of people may not know, Scotty Wilde is a Gen 1 Limitless guy. Mm-hmm. Scott Wilde was on the first show, wrestled Brian Fury actually on the first show. And throughout year one into year two, a lot of notable matches in Limitless Wrestling. He was actually on the first ever Westbrook show as well. So Scott Wilde has a lot of early history in Limitless Wrestling, and John Silver is kind of one of those guys who came in near the middle of year one, end of year one into year two. So he wasn't a guy who was there from the very start, but still very early on, and has really grown into one of the core roster members of Limitless Wrestling. So kind of like the old guard versus the new guard, and Scott Wilde picking up a victory here, a surprising one over John Silver.
Assassin Fury, hometown match for Jeremy Leary here in his promotion, defeating Doomfly.
This match had a really cool atmosphere to it because, as expected, Blitzkrieg Pro obviously on their home turf had the crowd advantage, but we had a lot of people come from Maine, and big props to everybody who came from Maine. We sold out that place. There's just about 300 plus in that banquet hall. So I saw a lot of people from Limitless Wrestling, and a lot of people who went to the show the night before make the trip down. So kudos to all of you, because I know it's a long weekend. It's a lot of travel to Enfield, Connecticut and back, honestly. And just big kudos to everyone who made the trip supporting us. I think this is something that we do want to do with Blitzkrieg Pro again. So you guys made it happen. But yeah, a really cool atmosphere, not only for that, but for Delilah Doom, who is from Massachusetts originally. This was her first weekend ever wrestling in New England. Because she trained in Texas and then moved to California. So the option to really wrestle in New England had not really been there for her before. But This was her first time here, and I think almost all of her family who was in the area was at this show. So it created an intense atmosphere for Sass and Fury, who were the hometown team, but Delilah Doom, who was the wrestler returning home. Really cool atmosphere, made the match even more spectacular. Another one, definitely go out of your way to check this one out. This is really, really good tag team wrestling.
Mark Sterling with Sidney Bacabella defeating Chris Statlander by DQ.
Boy, did I say some swear words at the end of this match. We got boned here, John. I'm not even kidding. Chris Statlander won the match, fair and square, and Sidney Bacabella charges his butt in the ring and sticks a pair of brass knucks in the back of her gear. Referee Will Dozian, who is, referee Will Dozian, sees the brass knuckles and reverses the decision. And I could have flipped the table, man. I almost did, but there was a second row in front of us, and I wasn't going to startle anybody. But no. I had a microphone in my hand. I may not have said the best things in the world, but yeah, Mark. This was a fantastic match, regardless of how I feel about the ending. Fantastic match. Mark Sterling proving that, in my opinion, one of the more underrated professional wrestlers in the New England tri-state area. Just incredible performer. Sidney Bacabella adds a cool aspect to him, but Chris Statlander, dude, is the future of females in the Northeast, period. I don't even think just in the Northeast. I think in the U.S. I think she's going to have a huge 2019. I hope she ends up under contract, honestly, and I don't see why that can't be a thing because she is spectacular.
Ashley Vox stayed hot, defeats Matt Striker, Puff, Daniel Garcia, Kid Curry, Kirby Wackerman, Hermit Crab, and Francis Kip Stevens. If you had a smorgasbord of pro wrestlers,
yeah,
this is what you get.
Ashley Vox staying hot. I had no idea heading into this that the scramble is going to be for a spot, and I thank the heavens that it was, because at this point we were down 6-4. Ashley Vox getting the win for Limitless, moving herself into the main event. But I think I lost it most at Matt Striker representing Team Limitless, and no one told me. I had no idea.
Yeah. There you go.
And it made sense because Blitzkrieg had 4 already. And
how much did that pop the inner WWECW fan in you? Because I know it exists somewhere deep down.
Dude, of course. I think I liked it more we got to call a match or two together. That was really cool because Matt Striker's super talented behind the mic. But it was real cool. He also came out to Rush, which really got me going. Not only, I think the Rush started playing before Rich Palladino said that he was on Team Limitless. So Rush starts to play, and I start jamming. And then he's like, representing Team Limitless, and I just come out of my seat. I'm like, what? This was a very fun one. Now I think it's our first 8-person scramble we've ever had on a Limitless event. And it was wild, man. Nonstop action, as most scrambles are. A very fun one.
Bobby Orlando and Brett Domino defeated Nunzio and Troy Nelson by DQ. Have we reached the point where this show is an edition of WCW Nitro circa 2000?
What are you talking about? Let me tell you something.
DQs, Nunzio.
Let me tell you something.
Inebriated pro wrestlers.
We'll get to the DQ. We'll get to the DQ.
Inebriated pro wrestlers.
But Nunzio could whip my ass, my dad's ass, and my grandfather's ass if we were all surrounding him.
Yes, no, I mean, he was a legit, Nunzio was a legit badass.
Dude, Nunzio is in impeccable shape, just a workhorse still, and him teaming with Troy Nelson as Full-Blooded Intoxication is my favorite booking decision of the year. But unfortunately, they couldn't get the job done, and they were on their way to getting the job done until Miss Susanna, who is somehow Brett Domino, has landed this woman, Miss Susanna. And I'm not entirely sure if he's landed her because she doesn't come everywhere Brett Domino is. He only brings her to Connecticut. But I don't know how Brett Domino lands this woman, and then she does the bidding for him as she comes in the ring. She understands that they're about to lose this match, and she plants one on Bobby Orlando, winning the match for their team.
It is a conspiracy.
Yeah.
Take that up with Jeremy Leary.
We can call it that. Oh, I was hot. I was hot about it.
So that set up a 6-on-5 elimination tag.
It did.
They had the advantage. Skyler, Jeremy Leary, the Batiri, Scotty Wild, Mark Sterling, with Sidney Bacabella, of course. Defeated Team Limitless, Anthony Green, Danger Kid, Aiden Agro, Alexander Lee, and Ashley Vox.
This was another cool. Really, it made it apparent to me how many Limitless fans were there, because there were Limitless chants breaking out as this match was beginning on Blitzkrieg's turf. So again, really cool. But this was a cool culmination of the night, man. Two companies coming together, putting their best against each other. The winners moving on to a elimination tag. I got to sit back and watch most of this one. It was a lot of fun to watch. Our guys, I love the team that we had. Anthony Green, MSP, Ashley Vox. What better of a team to have? And just a really cool match, man. I got a little sentimental at the end of the night, just being, very, very proud of all the workers in Limitless Wrestling, everybody behind the scenes, everybody who supports Limitless Wrestling, because, a year ago, I wouldn't have imagined doing a show outside of Maine. I wouldn't have imagined, being able to work with Jeremy Leary and selling this show out. Just a really cool ending to the night. Blitzkrieg getting the win, and they had the advantage. All right. I'll stop being sentimental here. They had the advantage. If it's a regular, if we're getting 5-on-5, we're getting even numbers. We're gonna whip them. So we'll get that. We'll get that match at some point.
Perhaps a challenge. Maybe you'll have to be on Limitless's turf next
Maybe
time.
it will. I'll bring them up here. I'll bring them up here to whoop them on our home turf.
There you
Wouldn't
go.
want anything more.
Setting up in January 11th in Westbrook at the Westbrook Armory, Snake Bitten. Tickets on sale Monday, 7 p.m. on limitlesswrestling.com. What are we looking like?
Well, we've got the tag team main event, the Kings, MJF and JT Dunn versus Ace Romero and Anthony Green. We've got the wild tag team match that we talked about earlier with the tattoo stipulation, or a singles match with Christian Casanova for Kevin Blackwood. It's Kevin Blackwood and Harlow O'Hara versus the Dream Team of Austin Theory and Christian Casanova, of course, with Stokely Hathaway in their corner. Then we have an unsanctioned match between Chris Statlander and Ashley Vox. We also have the debut of the Apex of Agility, former Impact Wrestling Tag Team Champion Andrew Everett makes his debut. And definitely be on the lookout next few days. We have a lot of announcements heading into Monday. So just keep checking in.
I'm going to make a suggestion for you. You don't have to take it. You'd be wise to. I did win an Emmy.
Okay.
The next Limitless show, whenever it is after this, I want you to call it The Thunder Will Roll. Because I don't think there's any better way to sum up what's going on in Limitless Wrestling right now. You're taking all that rolling thunder and just, it's perpetual, man. And I want to see, I think it's appropriate for guys like Ace Romero, who also perpetually roll thunder themselves. And I think it just would be the perfect way to ring in a big show as you head into late winter, early springtime. Especially, April showers, spring, May flowers.
Not a bad idea.
The thunder will roll. Just keep that in the back of your head, okay? A Let's Wrestle plug, if you will.
Yes. Let's Wrestle is back on Saturday, January 19th for Let's Rumble. It's a 30-person over-the-top rope rumble to crown the first ever Let's Wrestle champion. We've had announcements rolling in all week. Danger Kid, Aiden Agro, Brett Domino, the Masshole Mike McCarthy, Xavier Bell returning to Orono, Mike Montero, and there's a ton more. Obviously, there's going to be 30 people on this show, if not more. So be checking in. Let's Wrestle on Facebook, at Let's Wrestle 207 on Instagram and Twitter. Definitely be checking in, because front row tickets are just about sold out. I think we've got under 10 left. So if you want to get front row tickets, jump on that. They're only $10. General admission tickets, $8. The parking situation is great. I know a lot of people weren't fans of the parking situation in Portland this weekend. Neither was I. Orono is a really fun place to enjoy a wrestling show, and we'll see the crowning of the first ever Let's Wrestle champion. So should be a really fun night. If you want tickets, limitlesswrestling.com. Go under the Let's Wrestle banner, and the tickets will be right there for you to get. And
of course, you have to you have to mention here with Let's Wrestle, you never know who's going to show up. You never know.
Stop.
You never know. Just saying.
You're gonna get maybe like one or two people excited, and they're gonna get pissed if you're not there.
You never know who's gonna show up. It's worth it. It's worth saying. Hey, it's just a tease when all said and done here. How's the training school? Everything good on that front?
Very good. We actually just had our 10th student sign up today. So
is my boy Ethan working hard or no?
Oh yeah, dude. Ethan's doing great. He's there the most frequently. I think we've had a lot of classes at weird times. So we've had, a lot of people come in once a week. But if he can do it, he's in there 2 or 3 times a week. Very, very good to see. Progressing very quickly too. So hopefully, in 2019 we see his debut maybe in Let's Wrestle. Who knows? I'd love to see that for a lot of these students. We got Dalton, Jacob. A lot of guys coming in and out from all across Maine, which is pretty cool. So if you have any interest in the Limitless Wrestling Dojo, we're out of Brewer, Maine. Again, go to limitlesswrestling.com. There's a training section. All the information you're looking for, address, phone numbers, who to talk to, it's all right there. And there's actually a form that you can fill out to get more information and speak directly with me about it. So definitely do that if you're interested at all. We have up to 3 classes per week. Well, not up to 3 classes. This week we're there 6 out of 7 days this week. So, but we're usually looking at 2 to 3 classes a week. Some weeks are more stacked than others, and we can fit a lot of different schedules. So if you're at all interested, definitely get a hold of us.
I saw you let Alexander Lee beat up a sports reporter.
I did. John Wagner. He got taken to wrestling school and got thrown around. Man, he got clotheslined with the GoPro camera on his head, and it flew. It was the funniest thing. But he did quite well, though, in his first day of training.
And let's close things up here with the sale of the week. What do we got?
This week, if you're looking for more hats at Limitless Wrestling, we've got our final order of the camo Limitless Wrestling baseball caps in right now. They're going to be $20 for this week only while supplies last. I think we've got 5 left. So if you want to jump on that, save $5, grab it for $20 this week on limitlesswrestling.com/hats.
Next week, or whenever the hell we do our next podcast, depending on schedule availability, will be an Ask Limitless episode. Get your questions in. Hashtag Ask Limitless. Limitless Wrestling on Facebook, at LW Maine on Twitter, at Jon Alba on Twitter, at Randy say it for me. Is it Randy Carver LW? Do I have that right?
I think it's Randy _Carver at LW.
Randy,
not
Randy _ Carver LW.
It's not Randy Carver LW because it was, and then I got locked out of it like a chud. So
Randy _ Carver LW. Tweet ask Limitless, not Ask Limitless. Ask Limitless. I'm super tired. I've been up since like 5 a.m. It's been fun here, and folks, we will see you next time.